Grit. Grant rejections, one after another. Since 2016, I've written about 10 grants. All have been rejected. But there's also been the signs. Have faith. Have faith. Have faith. Even when I'm dead cynical, doubtful, and negative Nancy, have faith. So I'm tempted to just leave this organization and just start another publication, make it for profit. But have faith. The competition for private investments are less competitive. And so that's perhaps why I still hang around with the for-profit world, the space of entrepreneurs, tech startups, and pitch hustles. So I want to take the easy way out. I just want to find just a private investor and just work with that one person. That would be easy, and it would just be our baby, our organization. That's not what I've been commanded to do. I've been commanded to do this for the public because at the end of the day, I have a debt to pay. It's a debt I will gladly pay because the consequences of not having the intervention would have been a type of death that I can't even begin to describe. The kind of hell, the burning sensation, the sulfuric acid of death, that would have been the price.
Would you please talk about what Jung referred to as a psychic death, also called an ego death?
That's what happens when someone who loves you betrays you. Right? So imagine that the world is complicated beyond comprehension, right? And you only see a very little bit of it. And the way you structure your understanding is you make assumptions about things, and they're simplifying assumptions. So if you trust someone, you reduce their complexity massively, right? Because, let's say we were married, then there's a whole bunch of ways that you're going to act that are going to be simpler. Okay, so then I can tolerate being around you in some sense because you're not everything at once. Now, those simplifying structures are hierarchically assembled, and some of them are far more important than others. Trust is one of them, especially trust in loved ones, family members, which is why betrayal by a family member is really catastrophic because it destabilizes your past, right? All the memories you have. It destabilizes your present. It destabilizes your future. It shakes your faith in human beings, including yourself. And everything collapses. And that's an ego death. And so, now underneath the ego, as far as Jung was concerned, was another structure that he called the self. And the self is this thing that remains constant across ego deaths. But it's deeper and less personal. It's archetypal. And it's the thing that the ego collapses into when it collapses, and then it rebuilds the ego. Something like that across time. But that's what an ego death is. Now, there's variants of that because you can have a voluntary or an involuntary ego death. And a voluntary ego death is when you learn a bunch and you're willing to let go. So that would be your own immolation. It's like you're a phoenix and you're lighting yourself on fire. That's a much better idea, even though it can still be really harsh. The involuntary ego deaths, they're really hard on people. People will do almost anything to stop that from happening, which is partly why they fight to maintain their group-fostered axiomatic simplifications. It's not surprising, because it's you lose your, that ego death is a journey into the underworld, or it's a collapse into chaos. And that's not so bad if you do it purposefully.
But Jesus paid it, and he paid it in full. And he doesn't even hold it against me if I were to walk away. It's just, I know I want to do this. I want to do this. I've gotten so many experiences, met so many different people, opened my mind and heart to so many things, having compassion for all things because of the way of love. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So really, at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want to do this. Not because I'm really obligated to do it, because I want to. So I've been pretending like I'm obligated when the reality is I actually really enjoy doing this. I think about the fear-based thinking. Don't I have to also provide for myself? How in the world am I going to provide for 3 kids in the future? Grow a family and travel the world? How? When I'm applying for these $5,000, $10,000 grant rewards and putting it into a budget narrative and squeezing $100 here, $500 there, to create this entire grand scheme of this curriculum. Like, yeah, I'm gonna pay myself $5,000 to build an entire curriculum that's gonna be so transformative. Why not? On the one hand, it sounds ridiculous that this could be possible, but then look what you've already done. You've built a website from scratch, and because the people that you paid didn't do their job, so you ended up doing it and learning it yourself. And that's how you learned. You learned when other people flaked. So you had to do it. When nobody stepped up to do the editing, guess who had to step up? You. And guess what? Now you can edit. When people had to leave in the grant writing team, guess who had to step up? You. And guess who learned how to grant write? When you pay the consulting fee to create your 501c3 and for some reason they didn't do a great job doing it and you had to do most of the writing or rewriting, guess what? You learned. You learned when other people left. You learned when other people didn't show up. And for that, I'm actually really grateful. Now I know how to do it.